Perry County adjoins Selma, the central front in the civil rights movement's campaign to win the right to vote across the segregated South. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, had been trying to register voters there since 1963. It hadn't gotten very far. When SNCC arrived in Selma, only 156 of the country's 15,000 eligible black citizens were registered to vote. After 2 years of work, that number had inched up to a mere 335. On the afternoon of March 7, 1965, Lewis, the 25-year-old chairman of SNCC, threw an orange, an apple, a toothbrush, toothpaste, and 2 books, Richard Hofstadter's The American Political Tradition and the Men Who Made It, and New Seeds of Contemplation by the theologian Thomas Merton, into his green army backpack and headed over to Brown Chapel, the red brick headquarters of Selma's civil rights movement. "We're marching today to dramatize to the nation and to the world," he told reporters outside the church, "that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens of Alabama, particularly here in the Black Belt area, are denied the right to vote." Lewis and 600 marchers came face to face with an army of blue-helmeted Alabama state troopers when they reached the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Major John Cloud told them to advance no farther. He said they had 2 minutes to return to their church. Lewis and the others knelt to pray. After 1 minute and 5 seconds, the officers put on their gas masks and, charging into the crowd, brutally clubbed the marchers. Lewis was hit first. When he curled up in the prayer for protection position, raising his left hand to shield himself, Lewis was clubbed again by the same state trooper across the left side of his head. He blacked out. "I lost all consciousness," he later said. "I saw death. I really thought I was going to die. I thought it was the last protest." That evening, ABC interrupted its primetime premiere of Judgment at Nuremberg to show 15 minutes of the horrific footage from Selma to 48 million Americans. Many confused viewers thought they were seeing images of Nazi Germany. There had been ample public outrage over atrocities committed against the civil rights movement when 4 young girls were killed by a bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham in 1963, or when 3 young men were murdered by the Klan in Mississippi during Freedom Summer in 1964, but nothing before had the impact of Bloody Sunday. 8 days later, President Johnson introduced the Voting Rights Act, VRA, before a joint session of Congress. "It is wrong, deadly wrong, to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country," the president said in his slow Texan drawl. 100 years after the end of the Civil War, the VRA guaranteed the franchise for black Americans and other minority groups and fulfilled the long-overdue promise of the 15th Amendment of 1870, which states that the right to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The VRA quickly became known as the most important piece of civil rights legislation in the 20th century and one of the most transformational laws ever passed by Congress. It suspended literacy tests across the South, authorized the U.S. Attorney General to file lawsuits challenging the poll tax, replaced recalcitrant registrars with federal examiners, dispatched federal observers to monitor elections, forced states with the worst histories of voting discrimination to clear electoral changes with the federal government to prevent future discrimination, and laid the foundation for generations of minority elected officials. The results were almost unimaginable in 1965. In the subsequent decades, the number of black registered voters in the South increased from 31% to 73%. The number of black elected officials increased from fewer than 500 to 10,500 nationwide. The number of black members of Congress increased from 5 to 44. The 4 congressional reauthorizations of the VRA lowered the voting age to 18, eliminated literacy tests nationwide, and expanded protections for language minority groups like Hispanics in Texas, Asian Americans in New York, and Native Americans in Arizona. The VRA became the prime vehicle for expanding voting rights for all Americans. Because of the law, John Lewis won election to the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Martin Luther King's hometown for nearly 3 decades. He became known as the conscience of the Congress. When Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, Lewis said, he helped free and liberate all of us. Lewis's return to Selma in 2015 should have been a